Want to put it on the ground?
The lamp?
Yeah. So
Oh, that would look crazy. No, I think this is better.
All right, cool. We recording?
Oh, yeah.
He always sneaks it up on me. Welcome to the Blow Hole. I'm Cam Goodman.
I'm Brian Geiger. This is the first time we've done introductions now that Sylvie's in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just funny because normally we just start talking, and then this time we made it sound so official.
When a lady's in the room,
Yeah.
try to look more legit.
Let's see. We got the crotch shots going.
Yeah, earlier we were in a different position and the camera was just picking up too much crotch. So even though you might be experiencing a lot of crotch right now, it is less than it was. So last time we were hanging out, we were talking about movies and the wokies and the woke culture. And the thing is, political correctness, it kind of snuck up into the culture, and a lot of us were like, okay, sure, yeah, we'll go along with it. Until it just starts sneaking into almost every area of culture where you're like, okay, maybe that's gone a little too far. Like, for example, Joe Rogan, he's like, okay, yeah, you can call yourself whatever gender you want, but all of a sudden when a man becomes a trans female and then starts beating all these females in boxing or kickboxing or fighting, then it gets on his nerves because he loves fighting. He's a fighter. And so when he sees it kind of filter over into, wait a second, that guy's going to kick the crap out of all these women because he's been a man his whole life. So that for him, fighting was the last straw. And for me, I think woke culture is coming into movies. And it's a shame because the most beautiful, I think film is probably the most effective emotional art form that we have right now because we can put music, a very powerful art form, in movies. We can put storytelling. We can put characters.
Oh, it's everything.
It's
Everything
all the
combined.
artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. All artists coming together to make an incredible emotional journey.
So, of course, that's an issue because nobody wants to just be preached to when you're trying to watch, and preaching shouldn't be a part of art all the time. But for me, the woke thing, it's interesting because, political correctness has actually now gone to a point of where it's infected minds and helped with this whole mass formation psychosis thing. For example, so it started out as something as simple as like, you can't say retard. You know what I mean? Or so it's kind of where it started way back when. And that was innocent enough, you're right. So we all kind of went along with that. And now it's to the point where political correctness has gotten us to that position with that Supreme Court judge, where when she's asked a question, can you define what a woman is? And she's unable to answer that and basically implies, I can't answer it because I'm not a biologist. This political correctness now has caused the symptom of now this appeal to authority. Only an expert can answer any question relating to anything biology.
Yeah.
And this is all part of this all came from the pandemic too. You can't have any opinion or have researched anything about any sort of virus or virology, and if you're not a virologist. And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
But again, because we've seen from the pandemic, which science, which biologists, it depends on which side or who you're talking to, who's being paid for what hypothesis. And it's just like, okay, the science has changed now.
Yeah.
Thank God the science has changed. Thank God that science is malleable and flexible because it's very convenient.
Yeah, science is, but in this case, science is changing just because it's time or they want it to.
Yeah. So I'm not actually too up to snuff with, that's the origin of all these memes right now. It's just like, I'm not a biologist, so we don't know what.
That's where it's from,
Okay.
that one, yeah.
Oh, man. It's kind of nutty. In a way, I kind of want to stay out of the whole cultural thing, political thing, and woke thing. But at the same time, it has a very deep issue, spiritually, emotionally, and showing when things might be coming to a point that's actually very dangerous for our psychology, for our mental health, for our souls, for our children.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
We see it. It's a sick society.
And you can't, at some point, is there going to be pushback? At some point, it's like, okay, we're getting way too sick here. Are we just going to let ourselves become mentally ill and fat?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like, at some point, you have to call it
Yeah.
and be like, okay, enough's enough. I got to push back somehow because your actions are affecting me and my family and my school and my culture.
Yeah. Which is exactly what this all came from their side in the first place anyway, was they were trying to say your actions shouldn't be able to affect my life. That's always been their argument, you know, even to the point where you can't, even say certain words or certain things because you can't make me feel certain ways either. So you're right. But now once it's the other way around, and I think there's a good significant amount of pushback going on at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's like, I think enough people have become so fed up.
Cause I mean, you gotta draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
We've seen what, people said years ago they should draw the line then, cause this, the domino effect fallacy is what they claimed would happen. And, it's no fallacy. We have been like a line of dominoes ever since. And it's just, there's a really funny meme. I'm not sure. We won't talk anymore about memes, but yeah.
I love the hero's journey. I love Jungian archetypes. I love exploring the nature of the human condition, the nature of the human psyche. I feel like to be a master of your craft, especially an artist, you have to have enough experience and understanding of the full spectrum of the human condition. So I think the woke, they're only trying to push one side of an extreme, and they're not willing to look at their shadow side. They're not willing to look at certain parts. They think there's the bad guys, and then there's us, the good guys. It's like, wait. The entire human condition, the way you actually heal and understand and neutralize a psychopath or a serial killer or a school shooter is to completely understand where they're coming from, and you actually have to see it in yourself in order to heal it, to neutralize it, to come to a place. You can't just fight it all the time. You can't fight it.
That's how the best detectives are, the best whatever. Did you see that? It was a movie, but that story about there's actually the detective who got all the Bundy tapes
and became friends with him, right?
Yeah,
but trusted
because he was able to be trusted because he could relate to him and see in himself qualities that were similar to Bundy. Mm-hmm. Deep down, we all can find something to relate with somebody on, and being able to do that is also requires imagination. We talk about that a lot, but it's what he did, and
and effort.
Yeah,
effort. Like, doesn't it's not a lazy thing. You actually have to put some creativity and effort into seeing the other person's side.
Yeah,
what does it actually feel like to be in that other person's shoes?
In the movie, you're right. It shows him he's putting in a tremendous amount of effort to try to understand Bundy.
Wow. And
I forget who the actor was. Those were good. It was a good movie.
I remember hearing about it. I wanted to see it when I heard it.
Damn.
So in the past couple days, just in the last 2 days, we've had the Academy Awards. And I don't know when you're listening to this, but it could be months or years later. There's all these memes going around and all this social media about Will Smith smacking the crap out of Chris Rock, the host, in the face. And for the longest time, I'm like, this is so dumb. Just something happened in the Academy Awards. I don't even want to look into it. But then I was like, okay, I got to know what's going on here, because there might be some cultural significance. There might be some archetypes. I'm really curious about, okay, is it like the wise fool? Is the king? Is it like the I'm trying to figure out what the human scenario being played out on stage is between these two characters. And at first I thought, okay, this is what happened. Chris Rock looks at Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith and says, Jada, I love you, but I can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2. Can't wait to see you in that. Can't wait till that comes out. And Jada Pinkett Smith has a hair disease condition where it makes her hair fall out. So she's got a shaved head, and she even said that she's not doing this for image reasons. for glamour reasons. It's like she kind of has to do this. And so Will Smith, he's clapping, he's laughing, he's got this bright face. He's like, yeah, good joke, Chris Rock. And all of a sudden, a shot goes on Jada, his wife, and she looks pissed, like kind of like the most irritated, I hate my husband sort of face that you never want to see on a wife. That's the face that she embodied.
Now, I'm just going to stick up for Will here in the case that it may, I think he may have been laughing.
Yeah.
Because it was just natural reaction to any joke that he would have said. And I don't think it maybe clicked yet.
That makes sense.
So I think that's the possible. And
you're having a good
time. Realized, yeah, exactly.
You're having a good time, and you kind of hear the inflections in the voice. Like, here's the punchline.
Yeah.
I naturally am going to laugh because that's the way we react psychologically.
So I think that's what happened there.
Okay, nice.
And then, of course, then he did see...
And it clicked.
Then he did see her response. Then it clicked. Realized, oh, man, that was actually... that's effed up joke.
Yeah, and I was trying to just imagine what would elicit such a response. Like, let's say they were taking 5 hours to get ready for the Academy Awards. She was all flustered because she didn't know what to wear, and she was crying, and she was screaming because she didn't like the way she looked in the mirror, and she was just like, Will, help me. I hate myself. I don't like how I look. I can't believe this is happening to me in my life. I can't stand all the drama we're going through in our relationship. Imagine if that was happening 5 hours in a row before the big night where Will's actually most likely gonna win the Best Actor award. And everyone's going to be pointing at, like, aren't you proud of your husband? And you have to see that hairless head of hers. And she might just have lost it. And
see how that much see, that's imagination right there.
Thanks, man. I tried.
Yeah, that's like, I doubt anyone else took the time to, imagine a scenario ahead of time that you're right could elicit such a response. Mm-hmm. People just immediately go to judgment.
Yeah. And, I've met Will Smith. I met Will Smith. He came to the Kauai gym in Kapahi in Kauai, and he was a nice guy. He was like one of those guys who was stoked to sign autographs. He's stoked to be like, how are you doing? Good to see you. Shake hands with everybody. He just loves being famous, and he's not like, oh my God, I don't want to be around people because I know I'm way super famous. That's really respectable to me. When I see people doing that, they love their fans. They love signing autographs. And, it's like, oh man, I get to say I'm working out with Will Smith. Didn't actually work out with him, but we were very close proximity while we were both working out. So I could technically say we worked out together. But to see him react with so many F-bombs and to be such an attacking force to a comedian making a honest joke, it was actually pretty lighthearted.
Yeah. Well, like I said, too, if from the comedian's perspective, you would think that somebody who's been very open about her condition, which she has been, and she's showing strength, and she's chosen to shave her head and do all this, and she's obviously showing that it's something she's working through, but you wouldn't think from a comedian standpoint that if she'd been open about it and done all this stuff that she'd be so sensitive about it. Mm-hmm. You would think, if at a certain point, if you're being open about a condition, you're up for having a few people take some jokes about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if she wasn't, then she would have been private about it. She would have maybe wore a wig, and then that would have been obviously sensitive about her condition.
Another thought that just occurred to me is that there's been moments in high school where I'm performing in a play, and it's a high school production, but I took a lot of effort into wanting to be a really good performer in a lead role in musical theater, let's say. And when I came out of the show, I was flying high when I had the audience get to come and talk to me and be like, oh, you were so great, you were so great. I was just running on this energy field of ecstasy I can't describe. And I just felt so much self-esteem, and I just felt so receiving of the compliments I was getting because I put a lot of hard work into performing that role. And this night, Will goes into the Academy Awards pretty much knowing all well he's the king of that night. He's on fire. He's got so much emotions pumping through him because what he's been working through for maybe over a decade to try to get that Best Actor award. Tonight's the night it's going to happen. And everyone knows it, and everyone's pointing at, you're the man, bro. You're the man, bro. The world loves you, bro. And all of a sudden, if you're so pumped up,
I see what you're saying,
almost you might spill over in overconfidence. you might spill over to the point like, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. I thought it's just like the world sees me and I almost have a distorted image of myself of how amazing I am.
Yeah, almost godlike. You're right.
godlike.
I could do anything. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it spills over almost to the point like, oh crap, I went too far. And now I've lost so much respect because I felt I was trying to embody the image that I feel like other people are having of me. It was like, he's unstoppable. He can say whatever and do whatever he wants.
Yeah, a good point.
And so maybe just went a little too far.
Yeah, see that putting yourself in, and I mean, sure, it's a hypothetical situation you're imagining, but obviously a little bit, but based in truth. I mean, yes, it's a problem that's been tough for her. Yes, it's likely that maybe she was difficult for her getting ready before this thing. It's either way, we can say factually it's something they've been struggling with.
Yeah.
So, and then him, you're right. Anyone in that position, you're on top of the world, man, when you're nominated and, so you got all those factors lining up to kind of create this perfect storm situation. And it still, like I said, surprised me, if this is all real, by the way. I mean, the truth is, it's like if it's staged, I mean, who better to do it than somebody who's nominated for Best Actor? You know what I mean? Like, he's an actor, and he can elicit emotion at the snap of a finger, any type of emotion. He's great at it. He's a fantastic actor. Mm-hmm. So, there's that going too. But yeah, I was a little surprised that even if you had a moment of being angry or you were triggered from this joke, he had that whole, like, it's not like I saw someone tried to make an excuse for him about how it was like a weak moment, like he had a weak moment and like slapped. That wasn't the moment, dude. He had to get up out of his seat, get up on stage, walk toward the guy and slap him. That's you know how many seconds that is leading up to that?
Especially with the whole world watching.
Yes, to where you could stop yourself and be like, oh, maybe I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he had plenty of time to check himself.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot more time than most other people get in crazy situations, because most of the time these things happen between like a bar fight or people in they're a lot closer in proximity.
Yeah.
He had to get up, walk toward the guy, and then slap him. So it's like,
Another thought occurred to me. It's just, there's almost like this culture war going on with comedians and the woke. And it's almost like you might be virtue signaling to which side you're on if you hate talk or fight against the ones who are making jokes and comedy about something that the woke sees as very serious and you can't joke about, like a religion. You can't talk about Jesus or God that way. And so if you do, I'm gonna fight you for it, like the crusade. So it could be maybe Jada and him were talking about how much they don't like Joe Rogan, how much they don't like Tom Segura and all these guys who are like pushing on the edge of talking about woke culture, and they've completely decided they're going to go full woke. And so they have to make a statement against comedy.
It could be that too.
It's another hypothetical theory.
I mean, that could be the case even if it wasn't a conscious decision to make a statement,
Exactly.
It's like it was probably just like, built up, tired of these comedians,
At the same time, it could be a prank, right?
Yeah.
It could be fake.
And by the way, I mean, I actually liked the way Chris Rock handled it.
Yeah, me too. Just keep us cool.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Everyone, I think, was wishing he would have had a better comeback joke, but I mean, have you ever tried to come up with a joke after you just got slapped? you know what I mean?
By the most beloved actor in the world, basically. And you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You could just be stunned.
He did the first thing right, which is he draws attention to the obvious fact of the thing. So, whoa, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like that's the great first step.
Yeah.
And then, but then he started yelling at him, which double caught him off guard. And then it's kind of like, all right, man, I won't. Like, like what else can you say to that,
Yeah.
So I still think he handled it great.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny. I have more respect for Chris Rock out of this, obviously.
Oh my, of course. I can't believe. Yeah, to be put in that position, I can't imagine.
I mean, in fact, it took balls actually to say the G.I. Jane 2 joke.
Yeah.
Because it's, so he did it,
That's what comedians do. They have to push on that edge.
It's funny though that, I didn't watch the Oscars. You didn't watch it, did you?
No, and I just want to throw that in real quick. The Oscars used to be like the Super Bowl to me. I don't like sports.
Me too.
I don't watch sports. The biggest night of the year was watching the Oscars. I would stay up. I would miss school the next day just so I could see the Oscars. And then something happened. And I don't really know what happened. I just noticed that the nominees were a lot of movies I didn't know. And when I just took the time to watch these particular nominations, they didn't have this powerful, moving hero's journey story that a lot of these cinematic masterpieces usually should have. And I was like, something's really wrong here. And then the very next year or the next couple years, I noticed that the Academy had changed their prerequisites for what they're going to qualify as nominations. And it had all these very, very woke ideological qualifications. Like, it has to be about a minority or one of the LGBTQ, blah, blah, blah. It has to be about this much. It has to be about this. And it must contain these sort of things. And you're like, okay, that's all fine and good if it's an original story about the human condition. But now it just seems way more propagandic, where you're trying to show me something instead of show me something that's very timeless and eternal about the nature that every human experiences regardless of their color or race.
I'd almost argue that when it comes to judging a piece of artwork, which I consider film to be, there almost shouldn't be any checklist requirements.
Of course not.
You know what I mean? It's like
a story comes spontaneously.
Yeah.
You're not trying to think, here's the rules, then I'm going to write this story.
You can't try and put limitations on art, on future art.
Yeah.
You are now limiting the possibilities of what could be. That's probably why we're going to see so many shitty films. You know what I mean? Because they're all immediately out of the gate handicapped, from potentially what they all could. Maybe they have potential greatness.
Right.
And now they're going to be like, oh, we shouldn't do that. We can't do that because we need to check this box instead. And I mean, that's what we're experiencing just in general with everything political correctness has caused. Yeah. It's causing a dumbing down of society. For sure.
Even some of the best movies, Brian and I have actually gone to the theater. I'm surprised it's still existing because no one's going to the theater anymore.
We're the only ones in there every single time.
I was getting my tickets like a day or two ahead of time, or like hours ahead of time, and we go to the theater. There's not a single other human being that goes in and watches these movies. They're just watching it on HBO or downloading or streaming it. And the movies we saw, Dune, the Batman, the ones we were actually pretty much waiting for and excited for, there's this kind of dance I feel that directors and production designers and casting directors have to play, where they need these qualification lists just so people will take the movie seriously and actually go to watch it, because they subconsciously have this culture of, well, where's the woman? Where's the black guy? Where's the minority? Where's the gay one? And it's just like, why do we have to need that before we go to choose to see a movie and say, yes, I want to watch that movie?
Or why? That's the problem is now, you even mentioned that that's the other crazy thing is now unconsciously, even if we don't subscribe to that ideology, we even catch ourselves now watching a movie wondering, I didn't see or like, hey, now we are consciously aware of it. Oh, there's that. There's this. Okay, they're checking off all the boxes.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just that alone already, think about how much that's already pulled us out of the movie experience.
Totally.
There's no more losing yourself in a movie.
I'm not even flowing with the story and actually feeling invigorated and encapsulated by the power of the drama of what this character is going through. All of a sudden, I'm just like, ooh, shouldn't have said that. Oh, that's going to disturb a lot of the feminists. Uh-oh, that's good. Oh, I'm surprised they said that about white guys.
Wow, it's like really ruining movies and art.
It's so funny. Yeah, even just that little dance they have to play now where, like in Dune, I'm not saying that these movies were woke, but the casting, they have to at least check the boxes with the casting. It's like they've got the Chinese guy, they've got the woman, the black woman, and the powerful woman figure who might be running the true story behind all the men. You've got, there's the white man who's actually troubled and affected by the drama in his own soul and this white guilt. And it's just like, okay, there's this subtle thing in all the character arcs that is now coming through in the culture. And there's very clever ways to dance with this. I feel like a lot of these directors, like Denis Villeneuve,
Yep.
I didn't realize this, but a lot of the movies he's making, I love his movies a lot. And then I watch them again, looking at the checking the boxes of the woke. I'm like, wow, he's so creatively checked these boxes without me knowing.
He's got to get the funding.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, you're right. There's a way to do it that is not preachy,
Yeah.
and in some ways can even enhance the story. I think what movie did I realize the way they casted it? Oh, actually, I think it was Snowpiercer, the TV show. So in the and it actually, I think, in my opinion, enhances the story because these characters now. So in the movie, Wilford, the one who runs the train, is a man. It's Ed Harris.
Mm-hmm.
In the TV show, it's Jennifer Connelly.
Okay.
You know, and so she's the head of the train.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one in charge. But it became a more intriguing story because she was pretending that this Wilford was still alive and really the one behind the scenes. She was pretending he was like the wizard behind the curtain, even though she was the whole time. And she'd go out and be the public face, and get to be in disguise.
Oh, wow.
And basically, because of that, she's firsthand getting to talk with the people, go throughout the train, see everything. Like, it actually makes more sense of how a true leader would be in that situation.
Wow.
And so the story was enhanced because they put a woman in the position of what was originally a man's.
Nice.
So, in certain situations, it can actually improve the story,
For
which
sure.
in this case was one of them.
Such a creative way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what the next wave of the culture is. Are we going to wake up and be like, this is so stupid, guys? Are we going to turn in the other direction and just leave it behind and actually try and create good art regardless of the race?
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think a new renaissance is coming.
I like that idea a lot. A new renaissance is coming. Or we could have World War III and all these very cushy lifestyle. They don't have any problems in their life, so they have to create cultural activist problems in their life. If they have enough adversity and be like, oh crap, I need to be smarter and sharper. I need to be fitter. Maybe it'll shake them to their core and be like, okay, that was all dumb. What I was focusing on was problems. I need different problems and something more aligned with, hey, we're all going to die. We all need to survive. We all need to take care of our family. We need to be of value and an upliftment to culture and our fellow human beings. So how can I do that the best with my skills and my faults?
After saying that, doesn't it just sound ridiculous to think of what we're focusing the majority of our attention on as far as problems? Is ridiculous.
They're not problems. You need some better problems.
Like,
Believe me.
again, what? Oh, somebody said something you don't like. That's the problem. That's the problem. That's where we're at now in history? Dude, move on.
Yeah.
Don't pay any attention to it. Walk away.
Yeah.
Move on with your life. Don't make it like, that's the thing. It's become trendy to attach these little attacks or these little triggered situations to people's identities, and they now are actually identifying themselves by whatever it is that's triggering them.
Yeah.
Insane. Which is, by the way, as far away from the spiritual path as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, that's childlike immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we literally tell children to not take things personally, and that other child didn't know what they were saying or didn't know what they were doing, and that's what we tell children, sticks and stones.
Mm-hmm.
And that has now become the norm. In fact, it's become cool. It's become celebrated.
Yeah.
Man.
It's funny. I lived with this young lady who had quite the TikTok following. I was like, oh, I'm not really familiar with TikTok. Tell me about it. And I tune in some of her videos. I don't know if she goes by she, by the way, so she might not be a she. I was watching some of her videos, and it's like if someone subtly attacks her or makes a bad comment, there's like this big phase right now where you have to be like, hey, I'm not going to stand for this, guys. You think I'm like this? Well, I have to say no. And it's just like they have to fight back about like some comment, and it's like a whole series that these like YouTubers or these like TikTokers, they'll just like, you called me this? Well, I'm not going to stand for it. You think I'm like this? Well, I'm going to say this about you. And it's like you have to make these
stands. Yeah.
You
It's
have to make these stands, and it's like that is just not powerful or wise or forgiving at all.
It's because, again, people now they want to make this connection that it's somehow the same as it was in like the 1960s and like the with the racial stuff.
You're
And
going
it's
to
like,
be an activist
yeah, it's like
on your own
so,
TikTok channel?
so because we're like, we've all been taught our history and we celebrate those who made a stand. And now because we've really got nothing to complain about, I mean, life is as good as it's ever been in the entire history of humanity. So because we're bored, we have to make a stand
Yeah,
in order to feel like we're doing something of some sort of importance. And so whether that means, so it's make a stand about everything.
mm-hmm.
Dude,
It
I
just,
mean,
it just shows you're probably really bored.
yeah,
You need to,
get some hobbies.
yeah,
Really, that's what it.
do something creative and stop turning the attention inward to your character, your personality. Because at the grand scheme of enlightenment, apparently you don't even exist.
It's not about you, man. First of all, part of like actual maturing is realize nobody gives a shit about you,
Nobody.
dude. So like you're like children sometimes. So that's part of growing up, and it feels good to actually know. Oh, good. No one really gives a shit about what I do or say. It's just, I mean, besides your close, that's what family, your friends are for. Focus on your family. Focus on your friends. Those are the people you can actually make a difference in their lives.
Yeah.
For most of us, that's who you can actually. So quit spending less time on your phone bitching about making a stand, and maybe put that attention on your child,
Yeah.
because that's who actually matters
Imagine if you
and who
didn't-
you're making a difference to.
Imagine if you weren't a body or a mind at all, but you still were a conscious intelligence presence and you still had influence over the reality. There's no ego or person or persona to put attention on for yourself. Imagine if you had influence over physical reality, the only thing you could possibly do is to support and uplift and help and give to other people.
Like, it just kind of also makes me think, it's like, this is such a funny thing. This is how people are. It's like people would rather donate money to some cause so they can post about it on Facebook than maybe just give that money to a friend, a family member who most likely also really needs the help.
Yeah.
No one's actually helping anyone they know personally. They'd rather just well, not anonymously, but they'd rather just donate it to some cause so they can feel good. It's like, it's weird to think it's just a quicker feel good, dopamine hit you get from doing that than actually taking the effort to maybe help your a family member or someone, maybe help them move, maybe help them babysit some kids, offer something like that. Like, there are people in your lives that are directly in your day-to-day life that probably could use your help in one way or another. Start helping there first instead of helping the children in Africa. You know what I mean? It's like, if you've helped everyone in your life and you're good to go, and you got tons of money and you've literally, everyone is good and you've helped them and they're fine, then help the children in Africa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not that, I'm sure you can't save all of Africa. You can't save the world. Who you can save is maybe somebody in your life.
Yeah.
That
kind of makes me think about intrinsic versus extrinsic. If you actually are doing some value in the world, the more unconditional it is, in essence, is probably the less you need to tell everyone that you did it.
Right.
This is like, I don't care if everybody sees this or not. I have an immediate reward of self-value and worth and confidence. Not after I tell people what I did, but just that I did it. No one will ever know. But just knowing that I contributed to the essence of life itself.
Yeah. I haven't even checked yet. The computer's over here, and I want to see how we're actually lit up here. We're all right. We're not too dark.
I got a little bit of a back injury, so I keep on stretching out outside of the frame, but forgive that, please.
We're in this room, by the way, because I don't know. I was feeling super tired today. I went to this nutrition store today and bought some CBD stuff, which I've never tried before. But so I had a couple of like 20 milligrams of CBD, and I don't know if it was that or not, but I just got extremely tired today. I mean, I also had fries at lunch,
I
like
had
a bunch of fries.
too. I haven't had fries in like years.
And it was good. It was super good.
Yeah.
And so I got I had fries at lunch, and then
In-N-Out.
no, actually it was JT's.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, so it was
man.
pretty good setup there. And then I think what happened also is I got extremely hungry, and then I ate like dinner really fast with a glass of milk actually. So who knows? It probably wasn't the CBD. Anyway,
Nope.
I felt really tired. I ended up taking a nap on the couch for like 15 minutes. And then I thought I don't want to set up in our normal spot. I'd rather just hold a microphone lazily and like kick back in a chair.
I like it. I think this one has a little bit more of like a fireside feel. There's a little bit too boxed in your office, and here we can just kind of like splay out our crotchal regions.
Yeah,
On
but
the
our
chairs.
faces aren't as close. They can't see our lovely faces.
Yeah, we've got good faces.
We got nice crotches too.
Yeah. I know.
What do you think? Comment in the section below. Nice crotch, bad crotch.
Either one you decide, like and subscribe.
Right. Well, so now we're out and we're in my like living room. I don't know. What's the difference between living room and family room? Is there a... This must be the family room. This would be considered the family...
I always
Well,
wondered.
this is the living room. We basically live in this room.
Yeah, living room. I haven't heard family room since I was growing up. What's a family room? It's the same thing.
If you
Same
know what
thing.
a difference between living room and family room is, drop it in the comments section.
You have a family room if you're brought up Christian or in a cult. That's what that is. That's what they call living rooms, is the family
Alright.
room.
So we're in my living room, and we're dry now on the glasses. And I would have asked Sylvie back there, who's doing her thing,
Keep them going.
to bring me another drink. You gonna get the drink for us?
Yeah.
Great, because I would have asked Sylvie, but she's watch out with those headphones. We don't want to take down the whole set. Which would be good. Which would be good television. Yeah, Sylvie had to get up to go to the child. Maybe you heard the child in a faint echo. The microphones picked up.
Well, we're gonna have to split this last little drippy drips.
It's probably good.
It's probably good. There's very little.
Yeah.
I can definitely tell there's a what do you call a riff? A rift. There's a rift in the current today. I mean, I feel like, okay, I've been having a lot of music gigs, and I've been just trying to decompress, and I'm drinking almost every gig I'm doing, and it's just like, oh man, it's just like constant drinking. And then when I think about it, oh my gosh, it's just so often that I'm having alcohol. But it's just like,
Yeah.
my main livelihood is these music gigs, and it's just like I just want to relax. I want people to feel relaxed, and they can feel what I'm feeling. So it's just like the music's going to sound a little bit better, and everyone's going to have a good time if I just have a little bit of drink. But it's just like, how do I find the balance of temperance doing that? But anyhow, maybe that has something to do with it. I pulled out my back. I've had the worst back injury I've ever had in my entire life, and it just was getting worse after a week of so much pain and not being able to get out of bed. I left work yesterday and I said, I'm in pain. I need a chiropractor stat. And at the same time, I just could feel something in not going to work, because I'm going to have a relaxing day. And today felt kind of strange. And then my lady friend's not answering my texts, or
Still not.
not really. I
You
mean,
have you got-
she did call me back, but it's just like, okay.
But it
it's
was
been-
a few. It
you
was
know,
longer than usual.
yeah, we're both busy people, and she, usually we respond to each other, but this is just like text, call. And
You're
it's just
really
like,
trying to get that booty call, weren't you?
maybe.
Ah,
Yeah,
no.
and just nothing. So, and then I was like, okay, she's busy. I'm just going to show up at her house and talk about what we need to talk about. On my way over there, I get pulled over by the police.
Ooh.
First time in my life. I was even curious.
Really?
Yeah, very curious. It's like, even this week I was contemplating, I wonder when the first time I'm going to be pulled over is. And it happens to be this week.
All right. How did it feel when you saw the lights behind you?
Actually, I was very unresponsive. I was just like, she just saw me blow through that stoplight, and she's following me, and she's turning on her lights, and I'm feeling my body. There's no reaction.
No heart? You didn't get the increased heart rate?
No,
Well, that's
because
pretty good.
I
That's
saw
pretty
her
good.
ahead of time, and I was like, oh, that sneaky mother. And then
Yeah.
I was just like, I saw just like it was not a surprise. She starts following me, and it's just like she turns on her lights. It's like maybe has her lights on for someone else, and I keep driving. No, it's for me. Pull over, and then I'm just watching my body and my feelings as this is happening. And I was just thinking, that's so sneaky. She knows exactly that so many people are blowing through that stop sign because the traffic on that highway is so fast and my car goes slow. I need to take advantage when there's no cars. No cars, I'm going. Yeah, blow through the stop sign. I'm being a safe driver. She's just sneakily watching and knows she can get someone.
Technically, that should be a yield sign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, you know,
it's
that's
perfect.
like, that's when, you know, it's what's interesting. It's like, first of all, I get it. You know, maybe, you know, people who are designing the roads and choosing the signals and the signs for things, like, it's like after a while when you see that certain things aren't working correctly, it's like maybe change it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if like our biggest pet peeve coming from Europe is that, and it is a pain in the ass, and it's almost like we've had to stop ourselves from complaining about it every time we're out driving, but you're just driving down neighborhood streets and they've got 4-way stops everywhere. It's like, dude, in Europe, or in a lot of countries, there's always a main road. There's wherever you're traveling, they've got main and then stop signs on the you know, the perpendicular roads.
Sure. Yeah.
And here we don't do that. So it's like, even though you're on the main road in the neighborhood, you still got to stop at every intersection or whatever. A lot of the intersections, we love stop signs here. They're everywhere. That's why so many people are rolling stop signs, because you can plainly see it's safe. You can see everywhere, but we're still going to stop. And then the law says we have to come to a complete stop.
Right.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's outdated. Stop signs, for the most part, are outdated. They really should be used in dangerous intersections or blind corners where you should have to stop to make sure that everything is safe.
I heard, well, self-driving cars, when everything's on the grid and talking to each other, all these cars are talking to each other, you'll stop very minimally. If everything's going at the
It won't even fully stop?
Yeah, because everything
makes no sense. Yeah.
It's not just going to stop and start. It needs to be efficient. So if anything, it's going to slow down.
Yep.
But it will never stop. So maybe once we're all just on the self-driving grid, then there'll hardly be any stop signs or stops. Man. I even remember as a kid, whenever my dad would stop, I would feel so irritated in the backseat as a little kid, like, just keep driving.
I know.
Why are you stopping? Even though we're not going to Chuck E. Cheese or anything, we have nowhere to be. There's just like this irritation.
Well, you can feel that the flow has stopped.
Yeah, you're feeling the flow stop.
Man, and it's frustrating. It's annoying. Dude, it's like, you know, man. And also, especially, it's like, you're right, you can probably feel it. Why are we stopping here? Makes no sense. You know it. Everyone knows it. Especially in these neighborhoods, man. That's what really gets me. Yeah. It's a neighborhood. The speed limit's literally like 15 miles per hour, and there's stop signs. Yeah. Dude, there could be no stop signs, and at 15 miles per hour, you're going to see that other car just slowly approaching. Oh, which is funny. Like, we got really slow speed limits in the town that we live. The main, literally the main road to the entire town, and it's a long road.
Yeah.
Is 25 miles per hour. That's the actual speed limit. It's 25. So it always just throws me when I get to the intersection and I'm waiting to make a right-hand like turn and I see the oncoming traffic coming. I'm always like tricked. I don't know if like they're actually slowing down to like stop, or if they're coming. And then sometimes I misjudge the speed because I just assume cars are going to be going faster than that. So I'll go and then I'll be like, oh, I got to stop. Or are they stopping or they're not? And they're literally going so slow, I don't know if they're going to stop or not. And yet then they're actually not. Yeah. They just roll through the intersection. I'm like, if I would have known, I would have just gone.
Yeah. And that light turns red way faster than anywhere else I've seen, because it's like, oh, it's a slow road, so it can turn red much quicker. It's like, whoa, I just blew through a red light after it's been red for like 4 seconds.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah. You know what really grinds my gears?
It's Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I saw that there's actually a guy, you know, and it's like on YouTube that has done his whole channel off of literally just copy and grind my gears.
Really?
And it's like, man, I've been a grind my gears type of guy
Oh, he
since
has.
I can remember.
That's what this podcast basically is.
Since before I saw it, when I saw it on Family Guy, I was like, oh man, like that's literally, I should like do that. But then I thought, no, I can't do that. I can't copy it. And literally, I just probably could have just copied it.
Does this guy actually do the Peter Griffin accent?
No, I don't think so. But he's probably fat.
Yeah, is he American?
I think so. Yes.
Speaking of fat,
What are we cooking over there? Yeah. By the way, we got squeaky cabinets, man. I don't think I even noticed, but you notice all the little sounds when you're doing something like this.
And I was thinking that like the future of podcasts will probably have like the fireplace, the dog behind you, and like your kids or your wife, if they can be quiet enough, and if your house is curated to be quiet enough, you can have people doing stuff out back, and it might actually add to a nice aesthetic to the feel of the podcast. So
yeah,
I kind of like it when you hear people off mic, kind of like, "Hey, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's endearing. I like
Actually,
it. Feels
speaking
like-
of Sylvie,
Yes.
do you mind getting me some of that? I'll have some of the white.
the Gewürztraminer,
Yeah.
Riesling?
Doku,
No, not the Riesling. Do we have the Gewürztraminer? How do you pronounce it?
Gewürztraminer.
Yeah. See, it's not something I drink common enough to try to pronounce correctly.
She like corrects me way more with a German sounding accent. And so I was like, I used to be so much more. I was like, oh, I'm learning Japanese, and when someone says something like Roku, I'm like, it's Roku, and it's just like, okay, now actually, I'm listening to myself now. I sound like a pompous ass.
Yeah, that's why I don't
And-
do it. That's why I purposely mispronounce
Yeah.
things in an American way.
It's like, please, just to not sound pompous, can you just, out of respect for everyone else,
Yes,
can you use the American accent in that word? I notice Tim Ferriss does this a lot. He's like, let me just say it in the correct way for you all. And it's like, it's shindin yoku.
I had a,
Shindin
exactly.
yoku.
I don't feel right doing it in front of people. Like I even like when I took the car and I was gonna, I didn't even want to say Hyundai. You know what I mean? Like it's because it's like I've never heard an American say.
It's Hyundai.
Yes, exactly.
Two
you know?
syllables.
And it's just funny, man. Like, what was the other one there?
But Gewürztraminer is a beautiful word. I'm very
yeah, it
glad
sure
she
is.
corrected me in how to
Oh,
say it.
like when the annoyance of when we lived on Kauai, like brand new Howleys that would arrive would be like Kauai. You know what I mean? Like I live on.
Oh my God.
Like they and I'd be like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Did you want some, by the way?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you didn't ask if our guest wanted some too.
I'm sorry. I feel like I said something. I think I.
Filling the order.
I'm sorry.
What was that? You were fulfilling the order.
Yeah.
You're right. It was my fault. It didn't say 2 Gewürztraminers.
Oh, yeah. I thought I was just being a dick, and I was just like putting you down for saying Gewürztraminer so politely and correctly. So she's like, I'm not getting that guy a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Gewürztraminer.
Gewürz.
Gewurz.
Gewürz.
Gewürztraminer.
Gewürz.
You have to pronounce the R a little bit better, but I guess that's fine.
Where's there an R? Gewürz.
Gewurz.
Gewürz. Gewürz.
Oh,
Traminer.
okay.
Gewürz.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny when the whitest people try to be all Hawaiian cultured. When the whitest people try to be all Hawaiian cultured. I remember I was playing a gig at the Lodge in East Glacier in Glacier, Montana. I was playing some. Thank you, Sylvie.
I think I know what you're gonna say. Is it regarding the name of an instrument?
Yeah.
Please. All right. I love it.
And Brian and I used to play together with a ukulele and a guitar. I would play the ukulele before I learned guitar. And Brian would always call it, like if you did that same little riff on the ook. The ook.
I would say that.
Yeah. And
I
Brian would
had
say
a
this.
phase like this.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm
And
sorry.
I never really spoke up about it, but I was like, oh my God. I just feel my blood boil a little bit in my belly when he would say that. I'm just call it uke.
I'm
Or-
sorry, man. I was an asshole.
No, we didn't. I was an asshole too. We didn't know better. But at this point, I was just like, I'm done with trying to say ukulele in that pronunciation, ukulele. And I was just like, I'm just so done with people trying to sound Hawaiian in their words.
Yeah.
I've always known it as ukulele, and it sounds kind of fun and jumpy. It kind of sounds,
Yeah.
it's fun. Ukulele.
Yep.
Even it's lele, it's the same sound and words and letters. It's just fun to say lele. Lele. Ukulele. It's the ukulele. And it just sounds fun. It's kind of got this twang to it. And I was playing my last song on my set list, which was Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Brother Is Israel Kamakavivo Ole. I'm not going to try and pronounce that one. But I was like, yeah. And I was telling my story before I sang the song. It's like, I really just like the feeling and the funness and the innocent sound of the ukulele. And this woman, she just yells out from the crowd, "It's pronounced ukulele." And I just kind of nod my head and stare at her for about 30 seconds to make her feel really, really uncomfortable. And I go, "You are correct, ma'am. You are so correct."
And also, I love this. Sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine. If you are an expert in your field, it's your actual job, and somebody is correcting you.
This is a good one.
You know, you're pretty sure you're a musician. You're a professional musician. I'm sure you've heard the alternate saying or the original saying of ukulele. Ukulele. Yeah. I'm sorry. Were you continuing there? Yeah.
Yeah. So uke is how I've always known it. It's a fun way. Ukulele is a fun way. But
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my gosh, this woman is probably went to Hawaii once and probably just went to Hilo Hattie's in Waikiki with her husband. And it was like told by a tour guide on a bus to be like, actually,
Yeah.
that instrument is pronounced wrong. And it's like,
Mahalo.
yeah.
Going to Key Beach.
Yeah, she probably heard it from her tour guide. I'm just assuming right now, but she's like, I've been to Hawaii. I stayed on Waikiki Beach for 36 hours. Just like, please. We lived on Kauai so long and saw all the characters. We saw the politics. We saw the hippies. We saw the locals. We saw people wanting to kill each other over being locals, being from LA. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm just not going to try and upset anybody. And I'm just going to try and say this word. It seems the most authentic to the way I grew up and always heard the word.
And that's what the locals respect, man. Don't try to be one of them.
No, yeah.
Be yourself, mispronouncing their word. They're cool with it. They'd probably rather have you mispronounce it, showing that, like, that's where you came from, that's who you are, than, you know.
Yeah.
I know. It was always, what an experience, you know, basically trying to assimilate into what's basically a different country, a different culture. And, you know, finding out all those little annoyances.
Yeah, that subtle tension. It's just like,
and also realize, sorry.
oh yeah, that's good.
Also realizing the real humbling moment comes when you realize, when you've been there long enough, and then you realize you yourself were actually all of those stereotypes at one point too. It's a little embarrassing. It's like, oh my God, dude, I literally was that.
Yeah.
I came over here, I was that shiny-eyed, just like hippie, like, you know, doing the thing.
It's all love. It's all good, bro.
Oh man, and
Yeah.
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 And what's crazy is it's cyclical. There always is going to be a new boatload coming for probably the end of time.
Yep.
There's always going to be new. That's never going to stop there.
Which now gives me a lot more respect for the locals who had enormous compassion. And regardless of what character you were playing out in your archetype at your level of evolution, they had respect for you and they treated you like a human being. It's
Even
like,
if they,
oh my gosh, you are such a wise person, especially being brought up in a culture that is very likely to have a family that is very judgmental and harsh against someone that has white skin per se. It's like, oh, those are the people that took this land from us. Those are the people that took the land from us, or something like that. And to have a collective sort of irritation or anger or hate, I would imagine it'd be really hard to break out of that collective, because it's just so easy to fall into that. It takes someone who really questions reality and questions the nature of true goodness and questions the nature of their own character to actually be like, you know what, regardless, we're all human beings. We all deserve love, and I'm going to treat people as fellow human beings who are worthy of love. And it's just like those locals we met, it was like every once in a while, maybe 10%, maybe even less, there'd just be some shiny person who just took you in and felt like family. It's just like, God bless you, man.
Yeah.
Love you for that.
I mean, really got to experience true aloha there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd been there long enough. And the funny thing is, the nice thing, this is what I do love about an island, is that if you are deep down if you are a good person, others will see that. It will go noticed. It won't go unnoticed, you know?
Nice.
And if you are a shitty person, eventually everyone will know it, and you will have to leave because you will not be able to stay there, any longer. I mean, there are some shitty people who stay there too, but they're just, but you can't hide that kind of stuff. The smaller, the more the cosm becomes micro, the more the subtleties become amplified in a microcosm. You know what I mean?
I think I lost you a little bit there.
Oh, yeah. Like if you're the smaller the pond gets,
Mm-hmm.
the more obvious
Oh, yeah.
things are going to be in that pond.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was such a small place. You got to see such...
yeah,
It's like the pure crystallization of every possible character that can be played out in the human condition. You got to see it so clearly.
yeah,
And you get to, maybe even as a blessing, you get to go through those phases all the more quickly because it's less spread out, like maybe the mainland of
right.
the United States is, or a big hometown or a mountain range. You're just stuck there, and you have to face everyone else and all these other characters, and you have to look in the mirror. There's no way around it. So it's
True.
like, it could be a huge blessing to be like, okay, I don't need to hold on to this character for much longer.
Blessing if you're aware that maybe this is what's going on. If you're not aware this is what's happening, it can be a nightmare.
Of course, it's freaking hellish.
Yeah.
It's just like to look at yourself. That's what everyone is trying to run from in
Oh,
culture.
yeah.
I feel like culture is the embodiment of distraction,
Right. For sure.
and they're not. The purpose of culture is to not look at thyself.
Exactly.
And it's just like, what are all these other ways I could not feel this thing that I am? Oh, here's another thing. Here's some Netflix. Here's some sex. Here's some addictions.
Here's some drama. Here's some political correctness. Here's some cause.
Here's some culture
Here's
wars.
a bad man. Here's a bad man. Here's a bad man.
Yep.
These are all problems you need to be worried about, even though they're not. I'm curious, how many, if your life has actually been affected by a white supremacist neo-Nazi, put it in the comments.
Please.
I would like to know
We want to hear your story.
if you have actually had a life experience that has affected you dramatically due to one of these people. They're out there. Of course, there's the shit of all human beings that are on this planet, and there's also the best. The whole spectrum is here. Does it make sense to try to rid the world of any part of that spectrum? That's a good question to ask, Or is the spectrum something that is complete and something we should just learn to live with? And maybe, let's say we take out what we consider to be bad out of that spectrum of humanity. Maybe that spectrum, that bad part of spectrum that we label bad, is actually teaching us things.
Good point.
If we remove it, we may lose lessons. We may lose the ability to learn things.
Or it
And
might come back with a vengeance.
yeah, so maybe it's good to question things before we try to exterminate parts of humanity, especially modes of thought. Saying you cannot think this way is wrong.
You
to
cannot
think this
save
way.
these words.
Yeah, maybe we should try to understand these things instead of just trying to eliminate them.
Yeah.
Sounds awfully fascist to try to just eliminate things you don't agree with.
Yeah. It takes effort and creativity to hear other points of view. But just going into a conversation being like, that's not a guy I would normally talk to. Wow. Because of that level of discomfort is the greater level of courage it'll take to talk to that guy, which will be the greater result and a gift that I'm going to come out with.
Nice.
Having learned something. And I can know so much more about thyself after that conversation, which is the game. I want to understand thyself, not myself, thyself, which incorporates
beautiful.
the whole human condition.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
And I'm going to give an example of that. So when I was I grew up in a small town, and when I was 15 years old, I got a job at a grocery store, a drugstore, grocery store. One of the managers was gay. This was my first experience having interaction with a gay person.
That's one of those homosexuals?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the first time?
And
oh my gosh.
And I got to, and I had heard about it, and I knew about it, and then and then I saw the guy, and I'm like, wow, he's just a normal guy. In fact, this is a really nice guy. I like this guy.
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's cool, man. He's actually my favorite manager.
Totally.
This and that. And I got to learn about myself by getting to experience with with something that would be considered, that some people would consider wrong. So like, let's just say we flipped the tables, and instead of like woke culture trying to eliminate all neo-Nazis,
Yeah.
let's say it's the opposite. It's the neo-Nazis trying to eliminate all gays.
Yeah.
If they eliminated all gays, I would have never had that experience to see that, oh, maybe somebody, first of all, you see how similar you are to that person. It doesn't matter.
That's a really good point.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
everybody is needed in order, you know, we're all
Yes.
needed. Everybody is needed.
Yes.
Even if you disagree with everything that they stand for, even if what they stand for is wrong,
Yeah.
you know, ethically hating somebody for their, hating somebody for their skin color is just wrong.
Yeah.
But it also shows a level of an intellect. And if you hate somebody based on the color of their skin, then you're just stupid. You're not a smart person.
Imbecile.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, like, should we really be changing the entire fabric of our reality and society and the way things function based on some morons?
Yeah.
Unless people are physically hurting people, then just, you know, just say, turn the other cheek. All right, you're an idiot. And then just don't give them that kind of attention. They don't deserve that kind of attention. You know, by giving attention to people like that, you're actually giving them your power.
Every now and then I talk to my dad, and sometimes I can hear this pride in his voice saying that I really wanted you kids to grow up knowing there's more to life than meets the eye, so to speak. He says there's so much more depth to things than they seem. And I just wanted my kids to know that, to really get it. And he's like, yeah, you and your sister and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm so grateful that you see this. And it's the more wisdom and humility you can gain is the more and more understanding that things that you are witnessing have so much more infinite dimension than you can ever imagine. And I feel like the mystics in our history to embrace the mystery, and there's so much beauty when there's so much unknown. If unknown is taken out of a story, or mystery is taken out of a story or an image, it loses beauty. To have so much of I don't understand what's here. There's so much space. There's so much that can be said about this. It contains more potentiality. It contains more dimension. So when you look at a human being, that's the most infinite dimensional aspects of creation there is. As a human being, the personality, the history, the lifetimes, and all their stories, it's so much dimension contained into one person, and just look at them and be like, they've got brown skin. It's just like, wait a second, what about the infinite dimension of reality of all things, especially a human being? It's just,
And this is why it's damaging to be labeling ourselves with pronouns.
well
Dude,
said. Well said.
Really? We're just gonna we're just going to introduce ourselves by our sexual identity now?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, it's taking away the beauty of things, you know? And then, first of all, that's also, I'm sorry to cut you off a little bit,
please do.
but that's actually like, again, that's a little pompous to just think that, again, we can start putting people in boxes that are so specific. You know what I mean? Zerze, I identify as like, you're actually doing yourself a disservice by saying you're so simple that you can just be put into this box and that's how you can identify yourself. I would not be able to give myself some sort of label like that. That's like,
Yeah.
are we not more than that sometimes? Like, are we not more than that? We're
Yeah.
just the. And this is how I identify myself. I'm this, and I do this, and I am a this.
Isn't the original intention of wanting to create all these pronouns is to be way more out of the box, way more outside of boxes and labels, but all of a sudden now you're putting yourself into such a contained box.
It's limiting.
It's kind of, there's something strangely paradoxical and
Yeah,
counterintuitive
exactly.
about this whole thing.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, we'll look back and be like, wow, dude, people literally just lost their shit.
Yeah. And I just want to put out there too, it's just most people in Germany, people are like, I would never have been a Nazi if I lived back then. Yeah, most likely you would have been.
Yeah.
The statistics say you would have been a Nazi if you happen to live in this location, because that's the way the culture went. And a lot of people, it's way easier just to fall in line with culture instead of to think for yourself and be like, wait a second, these values don't quite seem right. and I'm just going to go with the herd because that's a virtuous place because of country and because I hate the Jews. And yes, Hitler is this mouthpiece for all these things I've been feeling, but it can never say.
Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! No, good point. But I know you're right. Now I drew the
Yeah. So
parallel to it.
we would have been Nazis if we lived in that location in that time. So stop trying to be virtuous because we would have been Nazis. So now, what's the equivalent?
So now don't judge the Nazis. Jeez, man. Like, really, before passing judgment, you have to, like, there's things are not always black and white. It's just as simple as that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, killing people's wrong. Don't do that. Do not do that. Do not hate somebody, period. It's not a good idea to hate,
Yeah, what the universe definitely shows us is that there's so much dimension and spectrum and color to so many things and nuance. Is it really just it's one box or the other? Is it really just this or that?
And again,
that's an algorithm.
It's the lazy way.
That's not a soul. That's not an infinite dimension of a eternal existence of life itself. That's an algorithm.
Yeah. It's not human.
It's this one or that one. There's no other places.
It's losing humanity.
The moment you start shifting into a spectrum, now you click back into black. Spectrum.
Wow.
Oh, now you click into white. Anytime you lean.
Wow. You're
Anytime,
right, and that's exactly what we're seeing, man. We're becoming more machine-like. We're losing our humanity.
We're becoming more like an algorithm.
Yeah.
And our algorithms, it's like, oh, he's leaning this way. Click. All of a sudden, there's a black and white option. It's like, I noticed when
ones and zeros.
Yeah. When I moved to Portland, I didn't consider myself political. And all of a sudden, I was getting all these strange, very radical political things on my algorithm in YouTube. It's like, what the heck? I didn't look up this stuff. How are they just placing me and think they know who I am with these very radical political ideals?
Yeah, and when you went to Pornhub, they kept like recommending man on man.
Yeah, exactly, dude. But I got to admit, the Pornhub algorithm is pretty spot on. They know exactly my... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Should we talk about porn?
I always like talking about that subject.
I thought you were like, I've always liked porn.
Yeah, I've always liked porn. Man, I mean, it's from our, we won't go into it, but I still love to tell this story from my generation.
Yeah.
Probably talked about it on an earlier episode. I still think it's crazy that, and this is delayed gratification. So I actually think that this is a positive thing.
All right.
But growing up with that dial-up modem, man, and there was no videos yet, but it was just pictures. And it's just amazing to think that the picture load from top down.
It makes you wait for it.
And you're like, oh man, and it's like top down. And so for me, maybe it's because of that. Some people are boob men, some people are whatever. But I don't know. The most intriguing part of a woman for me has always been the opposite part of what I am. So it's the parts they don't have. It's the lower parts. That's the part I like most about
Because you have boobs, right? Is it what you're saying?
I guess technically, yeah.
I think I know what you're saying.
But yeah, so that was the last part of the.
Oh, it's just like best for last.
Yeah,
It's like,
best for last. Yeah,
I like
so
it. Yeah, I like it.
so it was cool. It was a build up. It was literally like
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that was like that's my story for dial-up modem porn.
Yeah, I missed that too, but I don't think that might have been a little bit before my time. I think girls would send me like pics of them. That's when you had like your own. Whoa, she's got a digital camera. Not naked pics, but it's just like I've got my girlfriend Kim, and she sent me a picture of her, and just like this huge image just slowly loading down. There's something very exciting that just cranks up the dopamine when it comes up slow.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, porn's an interesting thing because it's so available right now, and kind of like the way of success and stoicism.
And it's been normalized.
It's been normalized with OnlyFans. It's just like, oh, everyone does it. Even my roommates, when they talk about it so open to me, it's just like, oh, don't mind if you hear me like listening to porn in my room. And it's just like, did you just say that out loud? Like you're just comfortable.
Different times, huh?
You're comfortable saying that to me out loud as your roommate? Okay. There was a phase in my life where
I love the only hold that. I love on the same subject. I love the OnlyFans memes I see on where there's like the girl like You know, she's like on OnlyFans, and she's like, you can get all my content for free, like this and that. I subscribe, and then there's like her next post is like, why can't I find a good man and stuff like this. It's always just so funny to me. It's like, maybe because he doesn't want you, like, you know, masturbating in front of thousands of other men for your career. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's different times, and in a way, I'm extremely grateful that when I was born was kind of cut off right before this crazy stuff started happening with porn. It was way more available, way more normalized, way more less taboo. But there was a phase, I think, in my late 20s where it was kind of dark, and I was trying to break away from this like insane like sexual desire, and I was like trying to get away from this person that I couldn't stop seeing, and I was just really trying to embody, okay, I'm not going to try and feel bad about masturbation or going to see this horrible person just for a booty call or watching these strange porn hentai animations.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I thought that like if I watched a cartoon, maybe it's not legit porn, it's not a real person, so it's like maybe the karmic payoff is like way less, but it still is, it's strange sexual content that's like cranking up my dopamine.
It's definitely like, I get why people are into that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, it's like taking just normal sex to like the imaginary, like
Right.
how
Fantasy world.
Yeah, to like what's the craziest thing you could ever think of?
I want to be an alien goblin that's green and black skin and banging this thing that is like
You want
a
to see like
hypersexualized female.
you want to see
elf.
10 tentacle octopus enter every orifice of a
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Sprite, a forest sprite, and I'm like this enormous goblin that's like
Imaginary.
28 feet tall.
So I get
Yeah.
it. I mean, I get it.
Yeah,
It's like totally.
It's amazing. Just imagine when.
And you're right. I could see how what you mean. Like it's not like watching real. I could see how you can get
Yeah.
away with that as an excuse.
Yeah. But in the.
So you thought to maybe not be addicted to this person,
Yes.
you would substitute it with another addiction.
Exactly. And it was just like, okay, when she was out of the picture, the stuff I was watching was just so radical and so like twisted. I was just like, okay, something's wrong here. I got to neutralize this, or like it almost feels like an addiction now. I got to get rid of this. And it's funny because if you try and force stop something, it's just, you know, going to feed it. So kind of like the way they say that mindfulness, just be really aware and embodied when you're doing something. Like you smoke a cigarette with your entire body curiously.
Oh man, love cigarettes. It's been a long time. Sorry.
No,
I loved
right,
it.
you're
I
right,
loved
you're
it, man.
But I was just noticing every now and then I was like, wow, I haven't watched porn in months. And it was like, that's really good. And then like, I'll have a drunk night and it's just like, oh, who cares? And there's no like judgment. It's just like, oh, fuck. And the next morning I'm like, oh shoot, I watched porn last
It's
night.
literally a one night stand with porn.
Exactly. It was like, oh my God, it is so dumb. Why did I do that? And so there was almost like this strange guilt that was happening the last, few days afterward. And then there'd be these long stretches. And then all of a sudden, I think enough of that curiosity and then like having enough slip ups and feeling the after effect of the slip ups, eventually I was like, oh. And when you say, are you someone who watches porn? It's just all of a sudden one day it was like, yes, I'm someone who does not watch porn. That's just my identity. And it's just like, I'm wondering how many men can say that about themselves.
They do not.
They don't.
Yeah.
And there is a self-esteem that comes with that. There is this
for
very clear-minded, and I don't know how to say it, not an elitism, but just like, I'm just so grateful that that's not a burden.
Yeah.
And I don't have to have this subtle guilt game and just like, well, yeah, I know maybe. And it's just like, it's just not in the picture of my subconscious. I mean, sex is, and gross fantasies are in my subconscious for sure. But knowing that, am I a man that watches porn? No. Confidently saying that.
There's, no matter how you spin it or try to spin it, there's always a little bit of self-hatred to have to watch it, right?
Interesting. Elaborate?
Like don't know. Maybe it's just me, but do you ever really feel good after it's done?
No. It's like that slutty slut who's not going to bring anything to your life. And it's like, God, now I got to get her out of my house.
And that's why I
Now I
figured out a
gotta-
hack. You make your own homemade porn,
Nice.
and then you just jerk off to your own wife, and you're in the clear.
Nice. It's funny because Brian's wife is just in the kitchen right now. She's just like doing her own thing. And Brian just keeps like gandering over at her, be like,
Doesn't listen,
yeah,
doesn't care.
No reaction.
There's the look. There's the look I was
Oh,
hoping
she looked
for.
over just now.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I want to talk to my roommates about it just because I'm really curious about it. And I want to know if they're like, hey, are you happy with your decision watching porn? If you had a choice, could you just stop the addiction right then? If you had the choice
Yeah,
never
it's a
to
good
watch
point.
it again, if you just had the choice, and it'd be no problem to not watch it ever again, would you take it? It's just like,
And, I would say they probably wouldn't. That's a hard question. I would just elaborate a little more on it and say, if you had the choice to not ever want to watch it ever again.
okay. Yeah.
Because that would be like, yeah.
And the thing where the way the future is going, the technology, everything is going to progress with roboticism, with VR, because of pornography. That's the way VHS were invented and DVDs
Yeah.
were invented, and the technology
Drove that market. Yeah.
It drives the market. So
Still.
there might be a crisis the same way we're seeing addiction as a crisis today, and the same way we're seeing mental illness as a crisis today, maybe even homelessness, which is kind of all the same ballpark. I think we're starting to see a crisis of dopamine and our rhythms of dopamine, because men are getting so much cranked up dopamine on these pornographic games, on pornography, OnlyFans, and VR is going to take it to a next level. It's like we might actually see conditions we've never even imagined before that are dopamine crises.
I grew up with sci-fi movies, man. I don't know. Sex robots still sound pretty intriguing to me.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God.
I don't know. That one's gonna be a tough one to say no to. Yeah, I know.
But for right now, do I want to experience an organic relationship with a woman and have
Or an organic relationship with a sex robot.
right? If she's human enough, that could be even better.
Yep. It's
But
gonna be better, for sure. They'll make sure it's gonna be better.
have you seen the new season of Rick and Morty?
No.
Did you see the old season?
Uh-uh.
This is one of the episodes where they're on this alien planet, and Morty's like, "Hey Rick, can we get this robot over here just as a souvenir? Because I want to remember this place." And it's like this very pornographic, like sex robot that's like in a pawn shop in like some alien planet. And he's like, "All right, how much for the sex robot?"
It's so funny. Just calls it what it is. Yeah.
Embarrasses him. But it's like, it's such a clever episode. It's hilarious.
Wait, Rick and Morty isn't the kids show?
Oh no, it's Adult Swim. It's very much
Well, I
a
don't-
vulgar. It's actually really creative.
I know the name.
I would highly recommend it. It's really vulgar. It's really crude, but their concepts of taking sci-fi genres and concepts at the next level, it's just like, oh my
Nice.
God. They almost go so far to being like, what does it mean to be human? Oh my God, I can't,
nice.
like, I got to question my entire existence every episode.
Love that.
And they do it in such, please just watch that one episode if you have to watch an episode. So it's almost like it's coming from an alien planet where the women rule the planet, and they just have to, like, all the men are like these animals who just scrounge around it, and they have to, like, just to procreate the species, they litter out these sex robots just so these men will impregnate the robots and they can take the seed and keep repopulating the species.
Oh my God, that's funny.
But it's like a matriarchy where the entire planet's run by women. It's like-
So they were like tourists. They were like visiting.
yeah.
Can I really take this to remember this place? That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Anyway, who knows? Maybe I'll have an even better relationship with a future robot wife. But
yeah.
I like human souls. I like human relationships and interactions, and even like the tension in the story and the vulnerability. It's really hard to imitate with algorithms. I think even if women think there might not be youthful and beautiful anymore, when that oxytocin and that commitment is ingrained, let's say in a long-term marriage or relationship, it doesn't matter what your body's becoming, because you are now somehow an energetic unit, and it just comes
Sweeter
sweeter
and
and sweeter, sweeter and sweeter. In theory, it becomes more delicious And you grow old with someone, and
Yeah.
you know each other so well. You just
Yeah.
have better sex.
Yeah, she still doesn't care. She doesn't give a shit what we're saying.
Oh, we got her to look over.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. I wish I had the timer on this thing still, because I'm sure we're going way over.
Yeah, we probably
But,
talked. I think it was like an hour and a half once we started the porn.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was reluctant to go there, but we went there a little bit.
Yeah,
That conversation though could go on for hours, I'm sure.
yeah. There's always more.
On next episode, porn.
Stay tuned. What if art is a given? Every episode we have to bring up porn.
It's pretty good.
Because porn is a big one of those taboos these days. A lot of guys are embarrassed about it. They don't want to talk about it. But a lot of insight can be gained when someone opens up about their vulnerabilities about it,
Yeah.
what they're ashamed of, all the things we don't want the world to see about our hidden world. When it's brought to light, people are like, oh my God, me too. Like, I could never say that. But yeah, I was thinking, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like a toothbrush up your rectum too? Me too.
Oh, it's the best.
It's cleaning things out.
Maybe we'll go into our biggest fantasy next episode, like just for like the nurse or the school. You got to stay after class.
Oh man, dude, I had.
It's like, oh, you got a bad back, you got to stay in bed. I know, I got medicine for you.
I started having fantasies like early, like
How early?
like second grade.
Oh yeah, dude.
And
Was a teacher that did it?
yeah, I really like the teacher. If that second grade teacher ever hears this, and she might, because her son became really good friends with my brother.
Oh.
And probably giving too much information. Anyway, at one point, you know how in school you had the chairs that had the little plastic chairs and they had the hole in the back?
Oh my God, yeah, dude.
I was at one point slipping through the hole in the chair and stuff,
Oh,
imagining I was going into her.
Oh my God, dude.
Like I had been shrunken down to like a miniature size,
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
going into like to live
Queen.
live in the vagina.
Oh my God, preach, brother.
Second grade, and that's back in like 1980, whatever the fuck.
I remember those.
Like
chairs.
imagine what kids are thinking now.
Yeah, I know, dude. Those chairs, I forgot about those chairs. That's a really great imagination. That's actually really sexy. But
I liked it. It was good.
yeah.
And then at one point, I at story time or whatever, dude. I mean, I I had this it's like this girl. I had her like sit on my hand, like because we were all sitting on the
Oh my
carpet.
God,
So I wanted her
second grade?
I wanted her to sit on my hand.
She did it.
Yeah.
She did.
And then I think maybe the teacher saw or whatever, and she told me to knock it off.
Oh no. I was a teacher's aide in my mom's kindergarten, so I was watching like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and I would keep having at nap time having to tell like Maddie, fingers where I can see them. And I didn't know girls would do this young. When they're 4 and 5 years old, they'll lie on their belly, and I just see their hand in their pants, under their belly, into their pants, and shamelessly going. And Sylvie's laughing right now. Maybe she's done it.
No. We got one of those.
Oh, they've
one.
got kids.
Huh? Oh, you used to? Oh, well, never mind. It was her. All right. I thought it was.
But it's
Jesus.
like, I don't know. What's a little girl's name? Sadie. Hands where I can see them. And it's just like, even when her mom would pick her up after school, she's like, yeah, I just wanted to tell you she's been doing a little bit of exploring. And we're just like, yeah, we know. Every day at nap time. Every day at nap time. It's like, oh my God, these girls start earlier than we do.
Man.
And I remember my first erection, or some of my first erection,
Oh, yeah.
might have been caused by Jessica Rabbit.
Might
have been caused by the Pink Power Ranger.
Ah,
Might have been
Kimberly.
This is it. It was caused by Liesel's wet dress in The Sound of Music when she comes in through the window in the rainstorm. Oh my God, what a beautiful girl!
Oh wow!
And she's got a wet dress, and she's got a.
You really were a theater mate.
That's why I went into theater. I
Yeah.
wasn't a theater kid yet. And she's got this plump bosom of like she's 16 going on 17. You know what I'm saying? So like.
Yeah.
She's got a wet, rain-soaked dress and the thunder and the lightning. And it's just like, I remember there was naked time. Like, we just run around naked. We're little kids, and, we have siblings running around. And my eldest sister, she's like, Cam, stop that. And I was like, what? And she's like, she points up to my pee-pee. And she's like, and I was like, it's stiff. And she's like, that is so bad for you. And she's
man.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know what she is. She's probably 7 years old. And she's like pointing at my pee-pee that's stiff. And she's like, don't do that, Cam. Like, I can't help it. It happens when I think
know.
about boobies. And it's just like, that's so bad for you.
It is. I mean, I remember being freaked out the first time. I'm like, dude, something's wrong. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
And that's the same way I felt like on the ejaculation. I was like, what the
Same.
hell is?
Yes.
What just happened? Oh my
Exactly.
God.
Was it painful for you? It was painful for
I
me.
guess it was. Yes. I guess
So-
the first one was probably a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely came as a surprise.
I've noticed a pattern. Sorry to interrupt, but I noticed that if I had like a hot towel and I was like touching myself with a hot towel, I was like, oh, that feels good. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna fill a cup up with really hot water that's the perfect temperature, and I'm gonna bang the hot cup of water. So I was basically doing push-ups into this hot cup of water.
Jesus.
It was elaborate, but it's just like, oh my God, it feels so good. I can't stop. And it's like, oh, what's happening? And my legs were shaking. My whole body was shaking. It was like, oh.
Plank. Hold the plank.
Yeah. And it goes, and my body went into full spasms. And I've noticed this a couple times when I first started experimenting with pleasurable things and when in the shower and stuff. When I was submerged in water, maybe there's like a pumping action that like pumps water into it, but it hurt like, I cannot tell you how much it was painful for like 45 minutes afterward.
Jeez.
And the
No, that's
first-
not normal.
No, okay. Well, the first thing I thought was,
Wait, no, actually, maybe the first time I remember like quite a bit of time afterward. Yeah, maybe like
okay.
yeah.
But I remember seeing like those strange cream colored beads in the water. And I was like, a first thought as of just like writhing in pain and can hardly walk. It was like, as God is my witness, I am never ejaculating again.
And then you're like, I feel like I'm gonna go try that thing again today.
Yep. 2 days later.
Yeah. Mine was pool jets in the pool. Accident, of course. Totally found by,
And you cummed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You sploged.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's, the whole, like I said, it's like finding what did Einstein discover by? It's like finding the atom bomb by accident, but a positive thing. I discovered ejaculation by accident, as I'm sure most do.
Yeah. You were never told about it.
No.
Yeah.
And I was just swimming in the pool. They happen to have the pool filter going, which has the jets on the side. I didn't realize there were holes on the side of the pool, and I came up, with one of these, just like on the side of the pool. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it happened to be like perfectly lined up with a jet.
Oh yeah.
And because of the power of the jet, it was like doing this. Here's the jet. It was just doing like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
it was like,
I did that too.
and
That's the best.
and then that's
great.
I was like, whoa, what's this? What? And then like it kept going, I kept going, and then I felt and there's this building pressure, and then I remember like getting out of the pool, and then I had the swim shorts that had the netting in it and stuff, and
Oh,
I looked
yeah.
down and I looked into the netting, and I was like, what the hell happened? This is like, why is there like snot
Yeah.
in my in here? What happened? And I thought like there was something seriously wrong. I thought something was wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Man, anyway, it was a good time. Then I started revisiting the pool jets.
Oh, that's great. Did you ever get the spider web snot in the pool and it's just like, oh shit, I got to get rid of this? I
You mean
let
like
people-
floating around?
Yeah.
People could see it?
I-
No. Usually the swim shorts caught it.
Oh, good. Thank God for netting. That's the true reason
Yeah.
that stuff was invented.
Yeah. And even for the adult ones, like adults now, the netting's there so they can just go splooge in the pool.
I remember a couple times I was a pretty nihilistic young lad. I was 20 years old in Kauai, and this lady, she wanted to be my physical girlfriend, body slave, whatever. But she's just like, we went into a public spa on the east side of Kauai. And there's got to be people around, but she didn't care. She's like, she'll do it anywhere, in the public restroom, in the parking lot. And it's like, all right, whatever. And she starts like using her hands on me. I was like, all right, let's just do this. And I didn't care if anyone was around, and I guess she didn't either. But it's just like she kept doing it. I was like, all right, here it goes. And then all of a sudden, it's like the spiderweb snot is like everywhere in the freaking hot tub. And we're like, oh shit, there's no way we can gather all this. It's just like spread all around the place, like I don't know, just like this goopy stuff in a creek that's just spilling all around the place. And, about 2 minutes later, some couples are coming in their swimsuits, 50, 60-year-old, and they just kind of get in the water, and we're just like, and you just kind of see your own semen splashing around, floating.
And then you find out
and
then you find out that couple ended up getting pregnant.
Oh my God, I might have kids out there. 65-year-old woman pregnant. It's first
Maybe
time
the
in history.
temperature from the spa was like an incubator. It kept it at like a certain like survivable level
There you go.
that made it still. Yeah, all right. And on that note,
Yeah.
should we wrap this thing up?
Okay. Yeah, we went.
I'm empty here. I'm probably gonna have another glass.
Yeah.
With my daily drinking I've been doing.
Tune in next week. Let us know if you have any insights about porn addiction, porn in general, what it is to be a man with such thoughts in your head. We're not alone here.
True.
Thanks for blowing in with us.
Yep.
The blowhole.
It's the blowhole.
Sayonara.